Heyo, my Planicus and friends, Johnny5 Alive here, and welcome back to another episode of Ride Spotlight. Today we're going to be looking at Diya Youling, created by Neat Melvin, one of our Discord expert builders. And we don't have any cinematics, we don't have any B-roll, it would spoil things. So we're just going to walk our way up this very short queue and get on the ride. I will read what Neat has to say about his creation once we get on the actual ride itself. And I'm going to close it down, reopen it, and we're going in test mode. We have custom audio, and here we go. Okay. Neat says, bearing the feedback in mind that you gave for my first dark ride, I created a new dark ride with a Chinese theming based on the ancient Chinese mythology. I also took inspiration from the Fata Morgana in Efteling to some extent. The story of the ride is as follows. The Diya Ghost River is a water dark ride loosely based on the Diya in Chinese mythology. You are a slave sentenced to death, but there appears to be one way out. The Emperor can grant you freedom in exchange for you to go down into the Diya to retrieve the legendary floating treasures. The twist is that the treasure is guarded by the Stone Guardian, and they will be triggered as soon as you touch one of the gems of the treasure. Will you be able to make it through and earn your salvation, or will you be left forsaken in the river of the dead? Okay, as a little bit of a side note, I am going to speed certain sections up. I actually lost the recording. I don't know what happened there, but maybe I forgot to hit record. I don't know. It's a first for me. But yeah, we lost the recording, and my feedback was the lulls in between the scenes. They're very long and black, and majority of the video is just black, and I want to speed those parts up. All right, we are back. Okay, so let's talk about it. I mean, there's some really abstract elements to this dark ride that it's a different approach. It's a different take that I like. Seeing, there's that saying, only show what you need to see, and you sort of did that with light, and I appreciate that. But I think the effort of that could have been driven a little bit further. So, because there's also like a drawback to it. It's only build what you need to see, but then because everything was so dark, you don't see anything. So the only building what you need to see when you don't see anything means you didn't really build much at all. Certain scenes like this, you know, it's cool to see these silhouettes, but I think you can drive the detail here. I think if this was like a VR experience or real life, the way the light bounces around, it gives you a little bit of illumination. You wouldn't have pitch black areas like this with this many light sources in a room. There would always be some light here. But if we added light there, we'll see nothing but rocks. So I do think there's ways that you could have added like 5% dims in certain areas just to give us some like illumination and add a little bit more detail, because a lot of these were like long stretches of nothing, and that's why I had to speed it up in certain areas. We have these scenes here, which is pretty cool. I want to see more of that, right? And then light it up a little bit better. And then there were certain scenes where you had stuff, but we couldn't really make out anything. Like this scene was cool. There's a lot, but I mean, it really is just a bunch of duplicated skeletons and trees. I think you could have done a little bit more with it to make it more interesting. But it has that abstractness that's kind of cool, like just using a few things to tell a story and some light. There's something different about it and unique, and the same could be said for this room. But as we're coming back this way, we could tell that all the skeletons are floating, and that was the only thing that I could notice. So, you know, the very few details that we have here, when the lighting hits it just right, we notice the flaws. And I think that's like kind of the trickery here of hiding, making it as dark as possible so you don't see those flaws. But we also don't, you know, just it's a few heads to the left and the right in this scene. But with the lighting, it can come off looking kind of cool. But if you were to blur your eyes a little bit and watch this on a phone, this entire segment is basically just black. It's a big black scene. And I think there needs to be more visuals for people to really absorb what's going on. Now, scenes like this, though, the gems are kind of flying at you, and it's like you're traveling through this space of gems, and it comes across really cool. But I think you could add some more glimmers, some, what do you call, like that glowing dust, fairy dust, this stuff. You did do it towards the end here, and I think that definitely helps. Just more rays and effects and smoke and different things coming in with a little bit more light. It could come off looking pretty cool. So I think it's the bare, it's the fundamentals, it's the structure to a cool concept. I think it just needs to be driven a little bit more. And a scene like this, like we see all the lava, we see these silhouettes passing by, and it's kind of cool. I do admit that it's kind of cool. But I don't know, you know, what we're actually looking at, and I think we could see a little bit more of that. I like the little embers kind of passing by us. But yeah, you come out of that scene not really knowing what the tell was there. And this is where things really kick off, because you can see that it's illuminated well, we can see things, we're looking at buildings, it's an environment. My feedback for you on this area here, it is a little bit strange seeing a wall panel of stars, because there's always going to be a mountain, and I think you could use that to your advantage, because in the very back here, you can notice a little bit of a mistake here. You have your ride coming through the floor, and with that, you can just see that it's a pure black silhouette. So if you were to use what you did here on the walls and make terrain here in the shape of a mountain, you could also put like a little building on top and a moon, maybe a little wolf, some animatronics. You would see the silhouettes of the mountain, the moon, and the buildings and all that. And then the stars would be behind those. And that would make more sense, right? But we can tell that we're in a big box room at this point. So I think you could have just done a little bit with the terrain there, and that would have been really cool in terms of like a silhouette. And yeah, this is probably the strongest scene, I would say. But I do like what you've done with the other scenes in terms of abstract design. I think that just the in-between, like if I didn't speed it up, the in-between getting to them, it takes a really long time and there's nothing to look at. And even in those scenes, it's really, really dark, especially if you're on a phone and you don't have like 20/20 vision. You're just trying to make out shapes of light hitting shapes, and that's all you can make out there. So I think you have to just like elevate that idea a little bit more and push those ideas a little bit more. But I think it's a strong effort. Now, you did say you took some feedback from the previous creation. Let me look at your workshop and see what that would have been. Was it Yake Farm, maybe? I don't remember what I told you there. You got a lot of really nice builds on your workshop. I mean, that's obviously how you got to expert. And it's kind of interesting because your buildings, your builds, your Asian buildings, all of the stuff on your workshop is really, really, really top quality. But in this ride, you're not showcasing that. It's like 1 or 2 props used over and over and over again and no intricate details at all. I mean, for the most part, it's just a few things repeating in each scene, right? It's like 2 different builders, in my opinion. But yeah, because I'm looking at how intricate and detailed your builds are on your workshop. Like your medieval watchtower that you just released, the Lozy Owl, Farley Church, your Chinese temples. I don't know why your Chinese temples weren't used throughout these scenes. Maybe you built them afterwards. So, I mean, what might be the case here is that you've grown a lot as a builder since you created this, and then we're just seeing this creation now. But yeah, I think next time in the future, if you're doing a dark ride, I mean, you chose a boat ride. I don't know if that was necessary because it didn't need the water. Like we didn't even know we were on we could have been on any track and we wouldn't have known the difference because we can't see anything. And the boat ride is particularly really slow, especially on the drops and the lifts. And the transitioning. So I don't think that helps you in any way because you can't speed it up or slow it down like you can with the other dark rides, controlling the pace. So yeah, I think you maybe just control that pacing and lay out your scenes a little bit better in the future. The concepts here, like this whole starry scene coming at you, I think this could be really cool in like a VR setting or a real life setting where you're like, whoa, look at all the stuff around you, and it kind of has this like 3D space feel. And there is a place and a use for these kinds of scenes, and it's actually an abstract creative approach. I do like that. I think you did some good things here, and I think there's some room for improvement as well. But that's just my thoughts and opinions. What did you guys think? Leave your comments down below for Neat Melvin in the comments section. And that is going to do it for me in today's episode. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful day, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye now.